Hello and welcome back to another video, and today we're in the workshop and you can obviously see that there's stuff being made. So what we're making here is our own Tine grab, as you can see there. It was a completely old one that we managed to get our hands on, and parts of the old frame are still good, so we're just welding new parts that we made onto the old frame like we have here. And obviously the old parts we're just cutting off altogether because they're just not in the best of shape. So I guess starting with the top one, this is beyond the top. It has 3 prongs that goes up and down like that. If I can get a picture on Google Images of a Tine grab, if I remember to put it into this video while editing, I will throw it into the video to show you what it's supposed to look like. It probably isn't going, if I can get a picture, it mightn't look exactly like the one that we have, but you can get a rough idea what it's supposed to look like when all this is put together. So starting with the top one, the old Tines are here. There's 2 loose ones there and there's a curved one there. Now we had to cut them out into sections because there's a flat iron here. You can see that's the old one. It's a flat iron. That sort of, the box iron bums up to it, and it acts as a cover as well to fill up the hole in the box iron. This side, we just cut across there, up there, down, and then obviously similar the far side to cut off all the welds that were connecting the box iron to the flat iron, and we slid it off. Obviously we've done it in sections, so we cut it there and we cut it somewhere there as well, and took that bit off. The middle one, as again, we just cut off any welds that were connecting the box iron and the tines to the actual frame. But on this side, you can see it's a new flat iron compared to the far side, which you can see is still the original rusty one that was on it when we got it from the previous owner. Now the reason that was, on this side, we were finding it hard for some reason to cut it down there and across and all that, like that side, which was way easier. Anywhere it was welded, we cut it off with the angle grinder and it came off. This side was a bit more rougher, it was a lot more rustier and just in a worse state than that side. And we tried to do our best to just cut it out but leave the flat iron there, but we failed. So we just cut off the whole flat iron and we made up our own flat iron and welded it to it. But we cut it in sections because we used our big angle grinder and I just wasn't able to get in between the small little angles and stuff. And it was just kind of hard and awkward to cut the top bit off. It was just awkward because you can see the bottom one we cut off whole from the frame. It's cut off in one big lump, while this one is cut off into small sections. But anyways, once we got all that cut out, we got our box iron, which was a bit of box iron that was left over from our topper rebuild. We got a bit of that. We measured from flat iron to flat iron. We got the size. We cut it to size using the saw there, and we fitted it in. It slid in fairly nice because we got our measurements right. And then we just welded it we welded the box to the frame and the flat iron. Then we got a small drill bit and we drilled 3 holes here, acting as a pilot hole. And then we got our magnetic drill with the big drill bit and we drilled the big holes that were going to fit the bushings. And then we put the bushings in. They're welded fully, as you can see. They're welded fully. And then we got these supplied to us by a local agricultural sort of dealer or shop type thing. He's based in the main town that's about 10 or 15 minutes away from where I'm based. So we bought them off him. I think I don't know where they came from originally. We do get a lot of things from him, and he supplied us with these tines as well for the bottom one as well. But anyways, yeah, we drilled the holes, we put the bushings into it, and then we fitted the tines into it to make sure that they're fairly sort of level and okay. You know, it could be a bit off a small bit. This one could be a bit lower, or that one could be a bit higher, but there's feck all in the difference. So we just welded the bushings in fully, and we tightened the tines in. Oops. And that's the top bit fully done. That moves up and down like that. And all that's left to do with that is basically to bolt it onto the bottom frame once we have that one fully made. Now this one, similar story. This is the old frame here. We cut out the old frame, the bottom box iron and the tines. That's it there, you seen it earlier. We cut that out in one big lump because it was easier than cutting that one out in one big lump. So we cut that out anyways. And again, the bit of box iron that was left over from our topper, that's another section of it there. So we basically measured the old one here, and then we measured it up against this frame here, going across from here, outside to outside basically. And we, again, cut it on the saw to size. It butts up to that. It acts as the cover as well to cover in this hole. This bit here will be butted up against that and acts as a cover to cover up the hole in the box iron. And again, we got a small drill bit to act as a pilot hole. We drilled that. We got our magnetic drill to drill in the bigger hole, and then we put in the bushings. Keep getting mixed up with bushings and bearings, but they're bushings, yeah. We put in the bushings, then we put in the tines and tightened them up. These bushings are only tacked in. They're not fully welded in like this one here. These ones are only tacked in, so we can see, are the tines sitting level and more or less the same. But there is one or two that's sitting a bit higher. You can see that this one here is definitely sitting a bit higher, so that needs to be adjusted. The rest of them are fairly okay, except for this far one. It's just sitting up very slightly higher than the rest of them. But there's 6 tines there, so we had to drill 6 holes in the box iron and get 6 bearings, along with 3 bearings there, and there's 2 more to go into that frame, which I'll show you now in a minute. But all the tines were supplied and bought from the same person. So to fix this problem, this one and this one, we'll have to take out the tine again, take out the bearing again, or the bushing again, and we'll just have to cut out the tack that's holding it in and get a die grinder and just sort of adjust the hole ever so slightly that this one and this one are sitting flat and even with the rest of them. We'll stick the bearing back in, and again we'll put the tine back in and tighten it just to make sure everything is sitting perfectly before we weld it up. And when we're happy with how they're sitting, we'll weld up these fully the whole way around both sides. And now onto this frame, which this will be connected to in the next coming days. But you can see there's a hole here and a hole there. There were tines coming out at the sides as well. They weren't in the best shape either. We decided to cut them out and replace them with new ones, which we have just there. But the bushings that were in at first were only like half bushings or something. They were weird bushings anyways. They weren't going the whole way through. So we just cut the tine off, and we cut the old bushings off and knocked them out. Same with that side. And we just, we got, on this side we got our gas. You can see the gas just there, our gas cutter, and basically cut out this hole because the bottom hole was bigger than the top hole. I think this side could be more or less the same. Yeah, you can see the gas was cut there because the bottom hole was bigger than this hole here where the gas was cutting was a smaller hole. But anyways, yeah, we got the gas, we cut out the hole. All we need to do now is get a die grinder to tidy up that hole so that we can get our bushing, and it'll slide in there. It'll slide in from the bottom, I think, all right. You can see it there. The bottom is all right. It'll go in through the bottom. Just that the 2 tops here need a bit of need a bit of die grinding to get the hole somewhat looking more circular than what it is now, and most importantly to get the bushing to fit into it and go the full way through, similar to what this it'll look like on that, is what we're trying to aim for with this. And we have our tines here, which will, when fully done, will slip in and look like that. Okay, so that's more or less even with that. You can see that this tine is about half a foot shorter than the bottom tines. That's because we were originally going to use the small tine, because on the old ones, I think, they're more or less that size. Obviously they're old. This tine grab could be 20 to 30 years old, and those tines could be the original ones on it from day one. So those tines there could have been the same size as the tines that we're using here. These tines from the point to the back is 800 mil, and this tine here from the point to the back is 27 inches. Now we were originally going using the smaller tines, as I explained earlier, because we thought that's what they were. But then we discovered that we can get these bigger ones, and well, we knew we could get bigger ones, but we thought we couldn't get them in this size, the 800s. But we found out we could, and we decided to put the 800 tines, or the 800 mil tines on the bottom. We were going putting them in on the side here, but we were afraid it would collide with this when it's going up and down. But we measured it and we found out that they weren't going to collide, but it would have been very, very close. They could be slightly scraping off each other or something like that, but it wouldn't interfere with this opening and closing. But we didn't really want that. We didn't want it too close. The top bit would have been way too close to this when it was opening and closing. So we decided to go with the smaller tines for this one, the 27-inch ones, and they'll stick up, obviously, like that. But yeah, that's basically, we're basically using some of the old frame, but we're putting a new frame up against the old frame, if you know what I mean. Now, as you may have noticed, you can see that there's a bit of box going up there at an angle on the top one, but there's nothing on the bottom one. That's because we cut them out, except on the top one, they're going up at an angle. This one, they were going sort of straight down like that, and that was level with this, and it would be then, the two of them would be equal and touching with this. But we found out that these weren't in the best of shapes, or that when we cut them out, we had to cut them slightly shorter. On this, you can see that's it there. That's basically the bottom of it there. If I can show you. That's the cut bit there. That's the cut bit there. Basically, as we're standing up like that. But again, it was awkward for the big angle grinder to cut that down to the butt or just leave it in it. So we just we decided to cut them out because, again, we have a very similar shape and size box iron to this one here that we used in our topper rebuild. So we're going getting a new bit of that. We'll obviously measure it from the bottom, or bottom of the box here to the top of that, or we'll weld this onto that and then weld our measure from this box iron to this box iron, get the distance that's in between it, and then we'll cut out the box iron and weld them in it, the new ones. Yes, but the reason that we're making our own tine grab is to move dung, move bushes, move branches, all of that. We can just have we don't have to go out borrowing tine grabs or whatever. We have our own tine grab for ourselves. You know, happy days. We also have the ram. That's the ram there. We have to try and hook that up some way and see if there's any tins leaking in it. That might need a bit. It might need a bit of TLC, and it might not. We don't know until we test it. But that does be connected to the center here, bolted. I don't know if you can see the hole there, but there's a hole just there in the box iron. Yeah, and it does be connected to, I think it's the top one here, or it's either this bottom one here. It's either connected to, it goes into that hole or into this hole, I can't rightfully remember, and it goes into the center jutty bit there. And then obviously the two outside yokes are connected or bolted to them, and that's what it's supposed to look like when it's all put together. That's how you connect it. The two outside juts there bolt onto these juts here, and then the ram goes onto that middle jut and either bolts on to this one or this one. And then once it's all made, once all that is welded and all the tines are in it and properly secured in it, and it's put back together, we're going to make a frame for it, because what was on it before it was a weird system where it could connect to a front loader, but also could be connected to a 3-point linkage system on the back of a tractor. So what we want to do is put weld a universal frame onto it. Something like that, a universal frame or whatever you want to call it. We're going welding a system like that onto our actual tine grab. We're going to weld it onto it like this bucket. We're going to make it up ourselves, get all the measurements and all that, and weld it onto the actual tine grab, so that it could fit onto a front loader like the 6280 or any other tractor that has the same sort of, I believe it's called a universal thing. So, you know, to make it that it would fit onto the front loader's thing here. We're going to weld that sort of adjustment or frame, front loader thing, onto this actual tine grab frame here. So that the likes of a 6280 or any other tractor with a front loader can hitch up to with the universal joint. But we're also going to make an adjuster that will connect to the universal joint that's welded onto the tine grab frame. And then the other side of that adjuster will be something that can fit onto my uncle's 1/8 front loader. So using this little bit of box iron, one side will have the universal joint frame that will connect to the universal joint frame that's welded onto the tine grab itself, and then on this side will be the joiner or the adjuster, or the joiner that will connect to the front loader on my uncle's 1/8, because it's a different system that he has compared to the universal joint. And then all you have to do is take the adjuster off, that's the adjuster there, from that, and then you just have your universal joint then if you wanted to connect a different tractor to it. And if you want to connect the 1/8 to it, you just you connect the adjuster onto it, and then the 1/8 front loader frame can be connected to this side, because the adjuster will be made specifically to fit the front loader's frame on my uncle's 1/8. Hopefully I've explained that well. It's basically an adjuster. Well, what does an adjuster do? It's basically an adjuster, so there you go. But yeah, anyways, that's what we have been working on in the workshop the last couple of days and weeks, whenever we got a spare time. Now, I didn't record anything of it, because usually it was late, well, not late at night, but we're in the winter months now, and it's getting dark at like 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and the lighting in here isn't the best. Well, it's daytime now, but once we're in here at night and turn on the lights, it's not the best lighting in the world. So it wouldn't have made good content, because you wouldn't be able to see that much. But anyways, yeah, that is going to be the end of today's video. Hopefully when this is all made and put together, I can make a video of it actually in action and show you how well it was made and all that. But anyways, that is going to be the end of today's video. If you liked it, please do give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe and turn the bell icon on to be notified of every future video I upload. Don't forget to check out my merch and the GateMate. The links to them will be down in the description. That is it for me. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Take care.